Hello and welcome to another edition of Fit Talk with Coach Luis. I am here today with Caiti Nascarella. We are here. We actually work together in PartnerMD. So we're doing a little PartnerMD series. So we're going to talk a little bit about her journeys. We're going to talk about her struggles, the things that she loves to do. We're going to talk a little bit about everything. So without further ado, let's get this started.
Welcome to Fit Talk with Coach Luis. If you're serious about getting fit, then this is your show. This is a podcast where fitness enthusiasts share all the ups and downs, the challenges, and the victories on their fitness journey. Now, here's your host, Coach Luis.
All right, like I said, we're here with Caiti. Thank you for being here with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. So, was it a good ride here? You came from Greenville. So
Easy ride.
And
Nice and calm this morning.
Yeah, nice. I know you love Charlotte, so I figured it was
Always
a
love an
win-win.
excuse to come to Charlotte.
It was a win-win, right?
Absolutely. I love it over here.
Good. I'm so glad. So yeah, and I think you're comfortable with this because I heard from a little bird that you were a news crew anchor in middle school.
I was that nerd. Yeah. I was picked on for multiple reasons, that being one of them.
That was one of them.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
yes.
see, well, you're used to being in the radio thing.
A little bit. I'm a little out of routine. That was just a few years ago.
Like 3 years ago.
Not that long
ago.
Just a few years ago. Not long at all.
Yeah, and in those little few years, you've got your BS in health sciences.
That's correct. From the University of South Florida. Go Bulls.
Florida girl.
Oh yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I grew up in Florida too, so it's pretty cool that we actually grew up in the same place. And you're ACE medical exercise specialist, and also health coach.
That's right.
Yeah, so you're doing a lot of things. So tell me, what is it that you feel that drove you to being into this healthy lifestyle and into fitness?
Yeah, I would say it probably it stemmed from being bullied in middle and high school.
Yeah.
For being a bit overweight and probably being on a news crew didn't help. Little things like that kind of pushed me into that direction. Once I got started on my health and wellness journey and started losing weight, making some changes, both in a positive way and a negative way, kind of not having a great relationship with food for a little while, I actually ended up having some health issues. So that kind of, it's a bit of a challenge, but that really pushed me to go that much further into it after dealing with seizures and some other issues like that.
Really? It's funny that, I guess it's not funny because dealing with being bullied, but it's interesting that you've dealt with that. The person that I spoke to before also was dealt with bullying a lot, and because of the same reasons. I dealt with bullying for the same reasons too, of being overweight, and
it's more common than people realize.
It's so much more common than people would even want to talk about before, and how now it's so important to let people understand that, hey, it happens, and it sucks, but we're using it we kind of used it as fuel to better ourselves.
Absolutely.
So in a sense, going through those things and that type of adversity is what helped us to become who we are today. And that's why I'm so glad to talk to people that have dealt through things, because it's such a huge thing. And now it's even worse now with cyberbullying, on social media and stuff like that. It's just easier now for people to be
scary.
Just mean.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's tough. It's really tough for people to deal with that. So thanks for opening up and talking about that too.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, tell me, what is it that you do now as being, now that you're in PartnerMD? So how did you get from doing what you were doing before, getting your certification and everything like that? What struggles did you go through to, and overcome to go through those things?
Let's see. Before I actually finished my bachelor's, I had an AA in exercise science, and I kind of stuck with that for a little while working in physical therapy. Mm-hmm. Did that for several years, just working in a therapy clinic, pretty close to full time, and then finally decided, I want to go ahead and help people. Mm-hmm. For a while, I thought that meant go get your bachelor's degree, go to grad school, become some sort of therapist. But after some of my experiences and then being in the therapy clinic and seeing how being overweight could affect your health, I was like, no, there's got to be something more. There has to be. So get over there to University of South Florida, move over to Tampa, enroll full-time as a student again. I realized that health promotion is a growing field. You know, you can become a health coach. You can actually help people prevent the habits that lead to their knee replacement or their hip replacement. You know, so I saw that window of opportunity, and that just sent me running.
That's true, and that's prevention.
Yeah,
it's huge.
And it saves us so much money in the long run with healthcare. And I thought that was also a really neat opportunity, is that, you know, healthcare is just becoming astronomical to afford. You know, even people that have good healthcare aren't utilizing it because it's so expensive.
It's so
to
expensive.
Go. You know, so that was a really cool opportunity to say, well, what if we could help drive down those costs? You know, what if we can impact somebody, help them, you know, maybe not go through the struggles that some of us have been through, and help make it better for the country all around. That's an awesome opportunity.
It really is, and it's different where people will say, well, it's too expensive to eat healthy. It's too expensive to do this. It's like, that's actually not expensive. Being sick and getting the ailments and the healthcare, that's what's expensive. The pills you may have to get on for temporary, for whatever reason, that's what's expensive.
Right.
Being healthy isn't expensive.
Especially if you learn the tips and tricks that are out there. You know, there's a right way to go about it, and there's a wrong way to go. Well, not necessarily right and wrong, but there's definitely a more affordable way.
Exactly, it really is. And it's a lot about balance too, and like you said, our balance is so unique to each other. You know, we all have our own. I know we talked about that a few days ago. About
we had that conversation.
That word balance.
Yes.
I was just, it's so much in the, especially nowadays with the, you know, let's get our balance. Great, okay, how do I do that?
Yeah,
you know?
and it changes from day to day. It changes from different seasons of life.
Yeah, absolutely does.
Yeah, and like you said, it's individualized. Every single person has a different balance, and that balance, I mean, heck, I know my balance, I think, changes from hour to hour some days. It just all depends.
Exactly, and that's okay. But understanding what that means for everyone individually that's the key to get that. And then that's where we come in as guides. You know, we're there to
facilitate,
to do that. Yeah. Oh, that's a good word. I like that. Facilitate. Excellent. I like that. So what is it that got you to PartnerMD?
So looking for an opportunity to go full-time toward my career goal. You know, I wanted to be a health coach. I was already looking at that certification before I actually got the job, and I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I want to do. You know, it's kind of funny, you know, you wait for an opportunity sometimes for a long time. I was kind of at the end of my rope, just so ready to land that opportunity and to just go running with it. And sure enough, it found me. They literally found me.
Yeah. And it's funny how things work out that way, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Right at the perfect time.
Yeah. Usually happens that way. I think a lot of times when we do things, that's always going towards what I just call like our end game or our end goal. As long as we're doing the steps to get to that point, I think a lot of times things will align themselves like they need to, because you're leaving yourself open for that possibility. And you're not closing yourself off to those doors. So it's a really good thing that you did that.
Yeah, I was busting my butt to get there. You know, I was working 2 jobs and studying for a certification in addition to that. So it was definitely kind of rough.
Yeah, because
I know you said came at the right time.
You were doing those certifications at the same time, weren't you?
Yes, I was studying to be a medical exercise specialist, and as soon as I got hired on with PartnerMD, they're like, hey, we want you to become a certified health coach. So it's like, cool, all right, that's awesome. You know, hey, you don't run away from that opportunity if someone's going to help you get certified. You take it and you run with it. Yeah. So it was a long 6 months studying for those, but it was worth every moment.
Absolutely. And how long have you been there with PartnerMD now?
I'm actually coming up on my 4-year anniversary right now.
Wow, So do you think that being there, you've been able to touch more lives than maybe you would be able to do doing something differently?
Absolutely, because there's patients that I work with that go and share their conversations that we have with their friends or their family. So it's not just who I'm impacting in that office; it's who those patients are impacting as well. Because they can go and share that with a friend over coffee, or they could tell their brother or sister that's also struggling with a similar issue. So it's really neat because you just kind of get the ball rolling and they take it from there.
You really do, and then that extends to them too. So you're kind of helping people, like by extension, without even knowing it.
Exactly.
You're helping other people, and you don't know whose life that will change. So I think that's something very special in that, for sure.
It is.
And what about like your own struggles that you've dealt with? How have you overcome those? I know you've gone through a lot.
I've had some interesting ones.
Yeah, and I'm really interested in sharing those.
I think probably the most interesting one that most people wouldn't, they would never imagine it by looking at me, is that when I was 20, I was out running because healthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Out getting my exercise before class one day, and I was hit by a truck while running.
Oh my God.
And I was left on the side of the road. Luckily, somebody
No.
saw the accident because it was a hit and run. The guy hit me, took off, and luckily somebody saw the whole thing and came to make sure that I wasn't paralyzed or worse. That was a huge struggle for me. Not only in my health and wellness journey, fitness-wise, of course.
Of course.
It's funny how an injury like that can affect you, because it doesn't just lead to the physical therapy that I had to go through for months. It changes how you think about everything.
It really does.
And for a long time, that was a really, really negative point. I dropped out of school for a while. I struggled with work. I struggled just getting in the car and driving because I didn't trust other people at that point, which was kind of funky to deal with at 20 when, most people are kind of messing around and being a little bit crazy, a little ruthless, and I was just not that 20-year-old anymore. It changed me. But now, about 10 years later, I look at that as probably one of the most influential things in my life. It makes you grateful, not only for, what I've been able to overcome emotionally through that, but, physically, I know what it's like to be knocked down, quite literally.
Literally.
And to get back up.
Yeah.
And that gives you a sense of empathy. Somebody that might not have had major injuries might not understand quite as well.
Right.
So it's just been one of the best learning experiences in my life. It's really made me a better person.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's dealing with those things, like you said, from the bullying, then that accident, and then I know you also had hip surgery.
Yes. Yeah, just over a year ago.
That's something else.
Yeah.
So you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that's another fun one. I got married and a week later had hip surgery, so I guess there's not many other tests to a marriage that are quite as great as having surgery right after a wedding and listing your house at the same time. I'm nuts. But what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, I think.
Absolutely does.
But yeah, that was rough. I couldn't walk for 6 weeks without crutches. So it was a long 6 weeks, a long recovery process. I'm still not at 100%, but I'm getting pretty darn close to it.
Yeah, you didn't come in here in crutches.
No, limping every now and then, but still much better than before. And again, it's just one of those experiences, like, that can easily be a negative. And when I first found out that my joint wasn't quite normal and that I did need surgical intervention, it was definitely a negative. Because it's like, how are you going to be a wellness person that helps other people live a healthy life if I can't walk? And it literally got to the point where I was using a Fitbit to make sure that I didn't walk too much, because then I wouldn't sleep at night, and so I'd be really uncomfortable. And it's just it's been a wonderful experience. And I know that just sounds so cliche. It sounds like a bunch of crap, honestly. But a little over a year after that, I can really look at it and say, that was amazing, because I know what it's like to be immobile. I know what it's like to struggle, and I know what handicap patients are dealing with when they're, trying to get by on a cane or a walker or post-op. It's definitely a big challenge, but
yeah, absolutely.
It's a great learning experience.
It is. It makes us so much more, I think, empathetic too, where...
Empathetic and resilient. Yeah.
And then you can, like you said, you can relate to those people that come in to the office and they're suffering with ailments, they're suffering with limitations. Mm-hmm. You can relate to it so much, and then when you tell them that I really do know what you mean, because sometimes they're like, oh, you don't understand, it's so tough being overweight. It's like, actually, yeah, I do, actually.
Yes, there's a stigma. A lot of people look at health and wellness professionals, personal trainers, they look at us like, oh, well, you're just so healthy, you're on a whole nother level.
You've never dealt with these issues ever. It's like, actually, let me tell you something.
Let me level the playing ground here. I say that quite a bit. There's a right and a wrong time to kind of bring up that conversation, obviously, in practice. But when someone's really struggling and they think that I don't understand, I will typically tell them, hey, I really do get where you're coming from. I've had some health issues myself, and it's always a kind of neat discussion, because people put us up on a pedestal sometimes, even though we don't want to be there.
Very true.
Because they just see the outside, and there's so much more to us.
And then that's part of, again, one of the downsides of the social media world is that all you see is the outside. Mm-hmm. All you see is, look at this super fit person doing this and that. Oh, I want to be like that. Like, that's okay and all, but there's a lot of backstory to that.
Yes.
To get to that point.
So much backstory.
So much.
It's funny you mentioned that. On social media, I really try to be real. I try to be kind of frank with people. I'll often put it all out there, because it wasn't a pretty story when it was unfolding. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a pretty darn good story now.
Yeah, absolutely is.
And I think it's something to be proud of, that when you have a struggle, you choose how you respond to that. Mm-hmm. It's all about perspective and trying to look forward to, okay, well, why is that happening? How is that going to shape me in the future? How can I take this and run with it?
Mm-hmm. Right. And then being able to have those stories, to share them, is also so powerful for people to hear them and understand that they're not alone.
It's not just you.
It's not just you. No. So that's really good that you stay true and real to what's happened, so that people can actually see it. People can see the storyline and understand.
It's another part of health,
It is. It's all
not just exercise and nutrition. Yeah. It's, well, what's going on between the ears?
Yeah.
That's a huge piece of the puzzle, because if you get that right, the other areas will follow suit.
They will. It's like what we were talking about before we did the recording. Is there's the sleep involved, the recovery involved, the eating involved, mental time to unplug and just take rest.
Yeah, self-care.
All of that self-care. Mm-hmm. Yeah, all of that is involved. All of it. And then that's where we come in again. That's where we're the guides to help put those steps in front of the person, so they can understand it's okay to take some time to you, some time to take. It's okay to take time for yourself and all that. And people just don't understand that.
Yeah, a lot of times we think it's selfish, but it really is incredibly important.
It is so important. You can't keep giving 100% of yourself if you're not giving yourself something in return.
You can't pour from an empty vessel, as I like to say.
Nice. Very nice. I like that a lot. I like that. So do you have, from all these patients that you've dealt with, do you have a favorite? Or, I guess, again, not a favorite. I know we love every single one of them, but do you have someone that stands out as an inspirational story?
I have, it's actually become a really good friend. A patient that I've been working with for probably about 3 years now. Just a busy executive who travels all the time, owns his own business. Literally, he can be in 3 countries the same week. He just does a crazy amount of travel.
That's tough.
And when I first met him, he was 272 pounds, a little over 6 feet tall. So he was overweight, but his goal was to get under 200.
Okay.
So of course, we like to set weight goals with what we do sometimes. So that was a huge goal. That was our ultimate goals, I like to call it, our long-term goal. And we kind of talked about short-term goals in between. But for him, he really needed to restructure his lifestyle, which is really tough when you're in that type of position and you travel a whole lot. There can be a lot of excuses. There's a lot of temptations.
Absolutely.
Not always a ton of opportunity to exercise and get consistent with nutrition.
Exactly.
So I think groundbreaking moment was when he texted me a picture of him standing on the scale, and it was 199. And my jaw hit the floor, and I ran to his doctor's office screaming, Dr. Durham, you wouldn't believe this, and show him the picture. And it was just one of the most exciting things, just to see that he literally took it and he ran with it. We talked about how he needed to change his lifestyle, how we needed to kind of modify nutrition to make him feel better, and he set those goals himself. I just kind of facilitated that process.
Right.
And to see him reach his goal just by coming up with his own small goals that were realistic for his lifestyle.
Exactly.
It was amazing.
That's the point right there, is the goals that are realistic to every individual person.
Yeah.
What works for him won't work for you, and or won't work for me.
Exactly.
But again,
there's no
setting
one
those
method.
goals. There is no one method. So having that, and that is the balance that they talk about all the time. That's the balance, figuring out what works specifically for every single person and helping them understand it. And he ran with it, and he did it the right way. He did it the healthy way. He didn't try to say, I need to do this in a month, because it's not possible.
Right.
In a healthy manner.
And he didn't try to put himself in someone else's box either. He didn't say, that's worked really well for my cousin or my friend. He kind of knew, okay, well, this is what means a lot to me and would make me feel better. And we approached it from that angle, and from the angle of needing weight loss to improve lab work, of course. And it was just so nice to really get those realistic goals in place and to see it make such a huge difference for him.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's a fantastic story.
Yeah.
It's a really good one.
Amazing.
And then
amazing being there for that journey.
It's such a being part of that journey is so rewarding in itself that it just and it's like another thing we talked about too is how, again, why it's so important for us to be doing our best. We need to make sure we do our self-care as well. We need to make sure that we do get to unplug, because we talked about last time how we're like, it's exhausting, because it is exhausting as much as we love doing
work.
it. It is. So it takes out a lot of us. So we have to make sure that we're practicing what we preach, and we take time for ourselves. We take time to just unplug, and then that way when we come back at it, we're at 100% to give 100%.
Yeah, it's so funny because I don't know if you have any friends that are therapists. I have several. And it's always interesting because people think, what you do must be so stressful, because you hear people's stories and you help them work through things. It is.
Yeah.
And that's why they have their own therapists as well. So it's kind of the same for us. Like, we really have to have a healthy outlet so we can kind of bounce ideas off of each other, vent to each other. That's why it is kind of cool being with a company like PartnerMD, where there are several of us.
Exactly.
And we connect well, and we can reach out to each other and say, hey, you wouldn't believe the success that I had today.
Yeah.
That was the most amazing session that I've had all month.
Yeah.
Or if we have something that's challenging, we can bounce ideas off of each other.
Right. And having that team is, and a team that understands, that gets it. Because you can tell it to someone else, and sure, they would I guess they would appreciate it, but they wouldn't really understand the depths of it because they're not in it. So they can still be a great friend to listen, like, wow, that's crazy, isn't that? But then another person that actually is doing it and is in there, is with you on the same page, talking through it, that I think it holds a little bit more depth in it, where the person can then really give you some type of insight to where it's
different level of understanding.
Yeah, and then, or even not even give it, just listen.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have sessions where all I've done is listen the entire session.
And some of those are the best sessions. I'll tell myself, just keep your mouth shut, Caiti.
Yup.
Greatness will unfold. And
yes,
it does.
It is.
And
because
does.
That's what a good coach does.
Yeah.
If you are talking more than the patient is,
oh yes, never a
then
good thing.
You're not doing a good thing.
Never.
You
a
have
good
to be
thing.
able to listen. they will trust you more and they'll open up more if they feel you're actually listening to them.
You know, it's funny. One of the doctors that I work with, my pal, he's my buddy. He always says that the patient will tell you what's wrong with them. You just have to listen. And it's so true. If you sit back and you are encouraging them and you are asking thought-provoking questions along the way to draw out a little bit more information, you know, you can just watch the light bulb just kind of click in that person's head. Yeah. And that's the coolest thing because they will always find it. They just need that supportive environment. Yeah. They need time.
That's all they need. They need that. And it's all those things. Is that supportive structure, the time, and the guide. Yeah. And then they'll slowly start understanding things little by little. They'll start to see the picture and be like, oh, so that's why I'm doing this. So I should change this so that this can change. And like we said, the domino effect is once you find that what the behavioral issue is that's causing that, and you slowly work towards fixing it, it will fall into place.
It's one of the most amazing things to see.
It really is. It really is.
It's pretty cool.
It really is cool. And so, yeah, very, very fortunate to be a part of that team. Absolutely is. It really is.
I know.
So what's your motivation? Like, what is your why for doing what you're doing?
Well, very generic response: to help people.
Make an impact while making an income?
Yeah, I like that one. I'm going to have you remember that one. That's so cute.
It's one of my favorite quotes.
But, you know, just if I can help somebody that's going down a similar path to what I've been down, that's huge. It is so rewarding. And it makes me that much more grateful for my experiences and the ability to actually engage with those people. You know, so it really is just to help people, you know, because that makes your bucket kind of full.
It does. It really does. There's no greater thing than giving and helping people. There really isn't a greater feeling than that. And if not everybody has that gift, you know, not everybody can do that.
That's true.
You know, it's something that you can't. I don't think you can be taught that. I think that's something that has to come from within.
Yes,
just
absolutely.
Want to help people. And it's obvious you do. You know, whenever you told me about the stories and stuff that you're going through with the patients and everything like that, you can tell by your responses and your answers that you're like, oh, this is so tough, but we got this. We'll be fine. It's just like you said, that little venting thing, which is we need that. We need that.
Yes. So it gets you through to the next step.
It does. It really, really does. Yeah. So that's part of it. That's what the whole part of it is. So any good books that you're reading that you recommend that may help someone with either like self-help or just a good type of a disconnect type book to where people can read to relax and unwind?
You know, I am such a sucker for Brene Brown.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen her Netflix documentary, but I've seen it about 12 times. Mm-hmm. Daring Greatly is what I'm reading right now by her. And it's an amazing book. I highly recommend anything by her, though.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you. That's a good one. I'll have to look that one up then. And what are your 3 favorite things to do, on your relaxing things for when you're doing your self-help thing where you're disconnecting and what they call active rest day now, stuff like that. What are
active rest, yeah. Yeah, I love walking. Again, it kind of goes back to my history. I'm just glad I can walk.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's one of my favorite things to do. You know, I do that. I walk my dogs every single morning. I'll often walk them in the evening too, and sometimes I just take off for a little walk by myself. Good. You know, just to get some peace and quiet. Yeah. I love working in the yard. That's one of the things that I'm really passionate about. It's a good workout, but it's also fun because you get to see the results and enjoy it afterwards.
And it looks really nice.
Yeah,
it looks really nice.
It's coming along piece by piece. Every time I think I'm done, there's another idea that pops up there. So just gotta keep active out there so I can keep getting that inspiration. Yeah. Keep finding the next project.
It's very therapeutic.
It is
very therapeutic.
You can work through so much when you're putting plants in the ground. It's impressive.
And as they grow, then you can be like, you know what, I'm going to replant this somewhere else. And it's just so much you can do. So much you can do.
It's never ending. like laundry, but that's a side note. Whole nother story there.
That'll be part two. Caiti and her laundry stories.
A little bit less interesting, probably.
Today the whites were put together with the colors.
That's a bummer. That's a bummer. That would be terrible. Let's see, what else do I like to do? I like refinishing furniture.
Oh, nice. That's one of my biggest
We
things.
talked about that a little bit before, but that's always fun.
I love doing those little DIY projects. I love doing that stuff. That to me that's like my outlet type thing. Therapeutic for me is just putting on some music and just refinishing something or reusing it for something else. Like you saw the armoire I put into a coffee bar, like all that little things like that.
Love
that to
stuff.
me is so therapeutic. I like to. That's my disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
That's my disconnect. Absolutely is. And again, there's no weights involved. There's no running involved. Nope. It's just a mental type of exercise.
You kind of get to shut off. Because there's not much you can do when you're sanding.
That's right. Got your glasses, your headphones in. The world is shut out for that time.
Exactly.
Very necessary. So yeah. So I guess. Like overall, what type of message would you want to send out to someone that's listening that maybe either going through some type of a struggle, some type of an injury, or that's kind of feeling like they're stuck in a place right now?
I love the quote, "How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time."
Yeah.
It's the approach that you should really take to any health and wellness goal.
Mm-hmm.
Is you can't accomplish everything at once. You have to look at small things that you can do today, small things you can do over the next couple weeks. It's great to have the long-term goals as well, but really breaking it down and having tiny little chunks that you can accomplish. I think that's probably the biggest thing that I try to encourage patients to think about and to consider when they're setting goals or they're wanting to make some big lifestyle changes. Is you have to just start small. That's the key, is just starting, right?
Exactly.
We tell people that every single day. The key is just finding a place to begin and staying encouraged. And I think that's a great way to keep you encouraged as well. Because if you set a small, realistic goal, ideally you meet it, maybe even exceed it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, that encourages you to keep on going.
It does.
So that is really key thing that I push on the majority of people, whether or not it's health and wellness related, is just do all things in digestible little bits, pun intended. Yeah. It's so important.
It is. It's those small progressive steps.
Yeah.
That's what's sustainable.
As I like to tell patients, like, you really have to lay a foundation first. If you're going to go build a house, you're not just going to take your lumber and just start putting it on top of the ground, right? You have to lay a foundation that you can build off of. Yeah. So setting those small baby steps in place puts that foundation down. So what you're going to do is really going to be sustainable. Because that's what it's all about. It's lifestyle change.
It is. And then if you have that, like you said, strong foundation, then if, quote unquote storms come through, it may knock down some part of the house, something like that, which is like your whatever goal it is you didn't meet, but your foundation is strong. So you'll rebuild.
Exactly.
And you'll do better because that just happened. So that's the perfect.
Exactly.
It's a perfect way to present it to people. It's good. I'm gonna write that down before I forget it. So it is, but then
it makes it very concrete.
It does. Then you have a really solid, strong home. The foundation is strong. So if storms come through, bad weather comes through, you'll be able to push through it because you have that foundation.
Exactly.
So I think that's a really good thing for people to.
Oh, glad to share.
Yeah.
We'll trade tidbits.
There you go. So this was really good doing this because it's a new type of PartnerMD series that we're trying to do to bring more awareness to patients and non-patients to understand what PartnerMD is about. Mm-hmm. What type of these wellness program that we have that are really trying to push for people to understand that we're here for you. And then now they get to know the people. You're in the Greenville office. So when people hear this, they'll know, hey, Caiti, you're the girl that is in the Greenville office. loves the pugs and loves gardening and
oh yes.
So it'll really open that connection to have even more trust, because instead of just going into a doctor's office, which is always scary, but then if they've heard the person talk and they've heard their lifestyle, they've heard their struggles and their challenges, then when they come in, they see you and they're like, oh, I kind of know you. And that connection is easier to start off with that, because then you even have talking points.
So much so.
You know, so
yes.
I'm really happy that Zach, thank you, Zach.
Thank you, Zach.
Was really up for this to really shed more light on PartnerMD and the difference that is the PartnerMD experience. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So thank you for taking some time out.
Well, I appreciate you having me. It's awesome to be here.
I really appreciate it. And then, sorry, Sarah, but we're going to Cowfish to eat. We're gonna have some good food after this as a celebration for the fantastic opportunities that we're having here as coaches.
All about balance, right?
Yeah, exactly. And to do what we love to do, and there's nothing like it. If you really, again, whatever you're going through, if you're listening to this and you're going through issues and struggles, you're not sure, talk to a coach. Talk to a coach that'll really help you get through those barriers. It doesn't have to be us. Just make sure you do your homework on that coach. And if you do want it to be us, shoot us a message and we'll help you out. Yeah.
Let us know.
So how can people get in contact with you if there's a way, like through social media or anyway?
Oh, I'm on Facebook. I actually have a little page called Coach Caiti. So that's a great way to reach out to me. Instagram, healthnut_89.
I love it.
It's funny how that actually came about, because I was just called the health freak for a while when I really started on my health and wellness journey, because it went from kind of one lifestyle to totally different.
Yeah.
So the health freak wasn't very encouraging or cute.
It's a little scary.
I always told, I know, it's kind of mean. I kind of tell people, well, I'm kind of just a bit of a health nut. Okay? Health nut, it's still cute.
I like that much better. It's more fitting, much more fitting than a health freak. I would picture something different, like someone jacked,
like The Rock.
Like a jacked person, exactly.
That's not little tiny me who's super non-intimidating and really peppy. Total opposite.
Yeah, and loves pugs.
Yes.
That would not be that. Yeah. So it's a good. I think it was a good change. So
I think so.
So healthnut_89.
Yes.
You said. Okay.
Yes.
There you go. And then everybody can reach out. And if you need any suggestions, anything like that, definitely, we're always here to help. So, and again, thank you everyone for listening and tuning into this show that hopefully can keep growing and can keep talking to other people about their fitness journeys as well. And thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thanks for checking out Fit Talk with Coach Luis. Remember to follow us on social media, on Instagram at Live2Progress and on Twitter at Live2Progress. Stay tuned for more episodes of Fit Talk with Coach Luis coming soon. And remember, always live to progress.